Hello, I'm Dane. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Dax Jutsu. In today's episode, I will discuss a trick to move, the total column in Matrix from the end to the beginning. So let's go ahead and open Power BI Desktop. Okay, so our goal for today is mhm, to move total, yeah, total from this to this location. So how do we do that? Let's see. Okay, we can't drag it. We can't just drag it, unfortunately. So what we're going to do now is kind of trick our eyes by creating a disconnected table that contains a word total and then the month. So new table, new calculated tables, total and period. First, I'll create one for the dates table equals. I'll be just summarizing the dates table. I will get the month and year, and then the sort by column, which in this case is YYYMM. And let me just return that variable, dates table. So, okay. Now, the next thing to do is to append a total column, a total row, rather, to month and year. So let's create another variable. And what we're going to do is we will be using a very simple function, which is row. Row returns a single row table, and we will have the same column names as the dates table variable. So month and year total. And we need to have YYYMM as well because we'll be using this column as our sort by column. And this can have any value that if sorted together with these values here will be in the first row if of course you sort it in ascending order. So I can just leave this blank and let me return just total. Now, and after that, we'll be creating a union of total variable and dates table variable. And of course, let's not forget to sort this by our YYYMM column. Sort by YYYMM. And to make it cleaner in the designer, let's hide this sort by column. And let's check. Total and period, month and year. Let's see. Yep. So total is on the first row. So we have that correct. Now, the next thing we need to do is to create a measure that will return the value of total if, of course, the value in our calculated table month and year column is total. Otherwise, the, the value should be whatever is the value for that period or month. Create a new measure. We will name this total. Oops, sorry. New measure. Total. Hmm. Okay. Total. Okay. Value with total. So if the value of total and period month and year is equal to total, then um, I'm using total transactions, then we'll return total transactions. Total transactions. Otherwise, we want to return the total transactions based on the value of month and year. So p filters month and year equals. Okay, I should have used a variable. Period. Selected value. Uh, no, I don't think. Yeah. The month and year is in values month and year. Okay, so it should work. Let me just beautify this one. I'll go to DAX formatter and beautify this formula. Leave that one. Change, remove that, and we'll be using month and year. Yeah. This because there is no relationship between the category and month and year columns, because we are using month and year from a disconnected table. But this should show the value we need once we enter or add our measure to the visual. Okay, so let's check 54160, 54160. Okay, so we've got it right. Now the thing is, what if I want to apply the same concept to another calculation or to another measure? You can create another measure here. Another measure. Let me just rename this one to transactions with total. Okay. Like I said, we can just create a new measure by copying the other measure and replace the measure that is being filtered by with another measure. So I think it's total revenue. This should work. Hmm, Times revenue with total. Revenue with total. Let's move the values to the rows. Okay. Yeah. So now here's the problem. What if you have many measures, so a lot of measures to apply this logic to, and it will be very tedious to write a measure one by one. So what you can do now is to make use of calculation groups. So I'm now in the model view, and from here I can create a calculation group. This calculation group, and this is creating uh, to, mm, so what I just did is I just copied the formula from the measures we created earlier, and it will just change some of the values so we can make this dynamic. For now, let's add a name to this calculation item. So it's value with total. That's the name of our calculation item. And when using selected measures, we need to use, when creating a calculating group, we need to use selected measure. Now, selected measure refers to whatever measure you put in the calculation group. Because if you use total revenue or any other measure, the logic will be applied to that measure only and not to whatever you put in the calculation group. So let value with total, and I'll just rename this calculation group to value with total calculation group. Go back to this. Oops. Duplicate. Remove these measures. And where is that calculation group? I'll add calculation, the calculation item as a visual filter. So value with total. And the next thing to do is, of course, to add the measures. So total revenue, total transactions, ATR, I think. This is these are all I have. Okay. And now a little bit of cleanup. We don't need this total column. See, total. And of course, the next thing you need to do is to apply conditional formatting if you wish to highlight this total, or I can actually change the case of total to the uppercase and beautify that one. Okay. So now we have total at the beginning of our matrix. Well, I hope you've learned something. Thank you for staying with me and have a good one. Bye bye.